So they had to get the cane out of the field.
This is John Ward with the Appalachian Channel, and I'm excited to be here in Muddy Pond today. We're at the Muddy Pond Sorghum Mill and Variety Store behind me, and I have Doreen and Holly Guenther with us here. Their family has lived here for many, many years, and they have carried on a long living tradition of making sorghum and running the store. Their grandma and grandpa started this originally back in the 60s, and they've passed away now, but the grandkids and the kids are still here on the farm, and we're going to go in and watch them make some bread, and we're going to watch them sell some stuff in the store, and we're going to go down to the sorghum mill and see it. Y'all ready? Let's go.
We're going to get some wood for the stove in here. Come on in. Put this in the wood box. So this is my grandma's house. This is where we make all the baked goods during the winter and the summer here on this wood cook stove. We do have other ovens. They're gas ovens for when we make large amounts of bread. But if you guys want to come in here to the family room, my grandparents have lived here. They moved here to Muddy Pond in the mid-60s, and I'm not sure of the year
they moved up here, I think about 1970, if
in
I'm
this
right.
house.
I could be a little bit off on that, but early 70s.
Yeah.
I think it was 1970.
So in this, we heat when it's really cold. We'll put a fire in that one too. But this plaque here was one of the plaques. My grandpa passed away in 2018. He was a member of the National Sweet Sorghum Association, and they gave us a plaque in honor of him for that. I thought that was really special. And so we have, my grandparents have a whole slew of grandkids and great-grandkids, and this is kind of their playroom. I think there's 32 grandkids and even more great-grandkids. I think about 33, 34, 35,
I think
yeah.
34 grandchildren.
And this was the kitchen table. I've ate many, many meals here with my grandparents. Growing up was one of my favorite spots. My grandma actually homeschooled my brother and I for a year here at this table, all while she made her breads and ran the store, and some really good memories.
Do Mennonites celebrate Thanksgiving?
Well, we do have Thanksgiving meal and Christmas meal, and as far as Christmas traditions, no decorating really, no Christmas trees. Like I said, there's many different kinds of Mennonites, but generally Mennonites do not celebrate Christmas the way you would see it, as far as the lights.
Traditional American Christmas.
Yeah.
Not so many trimmings type of thing.
Right.
But yeah, definitely the families get together. Thanksgiving is a big day, and Christmas has become, for our family, has become more of a big thing. Like, we all get together for that.
Yeah.
Will we all get together here this Christmas at this house?
We're not sure yet. Actually, I think
sure.
we're going to be at our house this time possibly, but
we
might here. But we
Yeah.
did have Thanksgiving here.
We did. We had
Yeah.
a really big Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And our family is huge. My grandparents had 8 children, 7 boys and 1 girl. And there's a whole slew of kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. And so you can imagine the noise that comes out of this house. It is quite loud.
At least 60 people for
Yeah.
sure.
A lot of times they'll build a little fire out there, and the younger ones will go out and sit by the fire. But come in here, and I'll show you where we actually make the bread. Here's the bathroom. There's an upstairs here. We make all the breads here and cookies, and there's our flour drawer. So this will get cleaned up later. We have a glass room here, and it's kind of a mess right now. We're working on doing some changes, cleaning and things, but this is where we keep a lot of things for the store. We sell a lot of handles, plow handles, walking sticks, brooms, you name it. Cookbooks, we store our cookbooks, lamp globes, chimneys. We just kind of store a lot of this in here.
What's this here? Excuse me, what are we looking at right here?
Okay, I'm pretty sure, we just moved a shelf out of here, so that's why it's kind of a mess. Pretty sure this is a gas-powered light, or a kerosene-powered light of some kind. I've never actually seen it work. May have to.
Something they probably used back in
Probably.
years ago. You just
Before.
dug it out and found it, huh?
Yeah, it was on that shelf there.
So I see boxes. It's got books here. This is stuff that you sell in the store.
Yep, cookbooks. Yeah.
Home remedies from the Amish country.
Bread bags. A lot of us can. My grandma canned. Oh, I don't know how many. And so she keeps a lot of her canning jars in there. So we'll kind of go out the back door. The loaves are rising. Pretty good. It's kind of breezy. There's a cat. We use this oven. It's older. It's really on its last leg, but it does work. We do use it some in the summertime and sorghum season. A lot of canning jars. We have cracklings. We do sell homemade cracklings in the store. If you know what cracklings are, it is when you render lard. Because my grandpa especially, he always butchered, and he taught all of his children to butcher. And a lot of the grandkids know there's actually a butcher house behind the store, and we still use it when a lot of the community uses it. So when you render lard, this is what comes to the top, and most people will use this for cornbread, crackling cornbread. I have never had it in cornbread, but it's fat basically. It's just fat. My grandma always would put a spoonful in a pan and fry it up and eat it on toast. I don't care for them because it is pure fat, but a lot of people like them. So those are homemade. And this, my grandma used to make lye soap too with their homemade lard. So that's the outhouse that they used for years and years, and I used it when I was a kid. They didn't have, maybe they did have an indoor toilet. For some reason we use the outhouse. I'm not sure why, but it's still there. Nobody uses it anymore. My dad is the oldest of the children, and so I am one of the older grandkids. So we did use that outhouse as kids growing up. So a lot of my younger cousins didn't, you know. So I do feel privileged and thankful that I got to experience some of the things that, you know, we did, because it was just the old days and there were old ways. And so there's one more thing down here. This is the cellar, and there's no electricity. This is where we store a lot of, my grandma, a lot of canned goods, potatoes. That's where we would go when there was bad weather and tornado warning. I spent a lot of time as a child over here when I grew up, and so there were lots of experiences and memories.
That's absolutely amazing. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. I'll take you outside. So like I said, there was no electricity or running water in the house when they moved into this house, and this was a well, and it still works. It takes a lot of effort to get water to come out of this, but water will come out. So we loved to pump that when we were kids. This is the grape trellis that my grandpa made it actually. And in the summer, the leaves and the vines, I mean, it's a tunnel. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm not sure what kind of grapes they are though. And this is the smokehouse. And they still use this every winter. Last winter, I'm not sure how many hogs they killed. It was maybe 7 or 8. So that's the smokehouse. They'll hang meats and they'll keep a fire going, and the smoke and the smell is just something that cannot be described. It is wonderful. Customers will come in the store and like, what is that smell? And it smells so good. So I love their smoked meat. So I'll take you to the butcher house.
Okay.
There was actually a water, like cistern, I guess what you call it, under this store. I think that they've poured concrete over it now. You can't see it, but this is where they butcher in the winter. This is the scalding trough where they scald the hogs, and then they'll hang them here. It's kind of a mess right now. We've not used it yet this year, but they'll hang the hogs or the beef here. And my grandpa was a master with a knife. He was excellent at skinning and butchering, and he taught his boys and grandboys, and a lot of them can do that. I don't know if it's where they scald.
Y'all raise the hogs here? Y'all raise hogs?
Well, everybody used to. My grandpa used to raise lots of hogs down in the barn. But I guess they do, or they'll buy them. You know, feed and everything is so expensive now, and it's almost cheaper to buy them when they're already grown and bring them here and butcher. Yeah. So this was a walk-in cooler. It doesn't work anymore. A part went out, but they used to hang the meats in there if they needed to, deer or whatever, overnight. But it doesn't work anymore. These are coolers or freezers full of lots of stuff for the house, some things for the store, like red popcorn and things that don't hold up so long on the shelf. We keep in there. And this is where they do all the slicing and grinding and packing. It's pretty interesting when they do butcher. Here's some recipes. They actually butchered a deer. One of the grandboys killed a deer, I think, over Thanksgiving. And they butchered in here. There's some recipes. Scrapple. Scrapple is kind of mixture. It's a mixture of like cornmeal, all kinds of different stuff from the meat. Yeah, I don't care for it, but they'll slice it and fry it up, and yeah, it's a family thing.
The meat's something that y'all just use for your family, or is it something y'all sell?
No, we don't sell it. Sometimes my grandpa would butcher for people. They would bring their hogs or beef here, and he would butcher, and that was part of his living, how he made a living. There is running water down here, and they clean it really well before they do any kind of butchering, but they have water hose and electricity, but no, they don't sell the meat.
So it looks like they got a lot of equipment for it, so it must be a good job at it.
Yeah, that's a large kettle pot, and this is where they'll render a lot of the lard and make cracklings. And there's a wooden paddle somewhere, a large wooden paddle. Somebody will stand here and stir, and just stir and stir. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I like to come down here and watch them and help, and it's important to know how to do these things, especially if you can't buy stuff in the store, or things get too expensive, or it's just good to know how to do to make a way for yourself and for your family, and to know how to do these things and pass it on to the younger generations. Okay. So this is where they boil the juice down from the cane. The press is up there on the hill, and they'll have a horse out there turning the press just for demonstration, just to show, how they did it in the old days. And the juice runs down, and it runs into this pan, and they boil it down. And the sorghum is actually cooked on steam, so there's pipes that go under this pan. Used to, they had it over fire. It was an open fire, and that's how they cooked it. But now they do it over steam. These are holding tanks for juice.
Now, I seen a video, maybe your dad or your uncle talked about how he modernized it more.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and that was to be more productive.
Right, and more efficient. And that was my dad, Mark, designed a lot of it himself. Like there's a steam pump there, I think he helped with. And then that's the boiler. That's an old engine from a train, and they use it to fire. It's a furnace, and I'll show you where they throw the wood.
That's good. This has got to be quite the operation come fall.
Oh, it is. It is. They throw huge logs in there, and I mean, it's blazing. This thing is hot. This all here this year is new. They poured all of this. It used to just be a big, like that, rock. But now they've poured all this, and they'll just bring in loads of wood. And that's how they fire it.
Wow.
With wood. Yeah. Yep.
So we have a holding tank up here for sorghum.
That is a heated, yeah. You can see the pipes going to it. It's heated, and they heat the juice overnight so it doesn't spoil. Like they'll press on a Monday and then bring it here. Sometimes they'll press 2,000 gallons of juice and bring it here and heat it overnight so it doesn't spoil.
I noticed on one of the videos now when they're cutting the sorghum, it juices it at that time, and goes into a big tank on the
Right.
behind the tractor.
Yes.
And they bring it in.
That's how they do it now. They have tractors and big presses, and it's more modernized now. You know, when I grew up, they had tractors maybe, but we helped get out and we would hoe it and cut it. Well, strip it and cut it all by hand and bring it here to the mill, and they would press it, and that's how it was done. I think one of the paper articles said back then it was maybe about 30 acres of cane that they had growing, and this past year they did almost 70. I think it was about 65 acres. So it has really grown. That's an old outhouse over there, too. So yeah.
So you got another little building over here. What was that, a store at one time maybe? Did it start there?
No, that's actually, it's an old house. It was my great aunt Tina's house, but they moved it here, and now it's just storage for sorghum, honey. A lot of the sorghum that we sell in the store and the honey that we sell in the store. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you got stock in here.
But they have a large warehouse as well that they keep a lot of, especially sorghum.
Now, do they wholesale this to stores or?
Oh yeah, yeah. You can find it online. I don't know how many different places all over the U.S. has the sorghum, but you can find it a lot of different places.
So yeah, see, these are gallon jugs of sorghum here. Huh?
Yeah. Most of this is for the store. We do sell a lot of this in the variety store. And all the stores here in Muddy Pond, there are other stores. General store, some leather shops, and then the Country Porch, and they're like a restaurant and a eatery, and they have all kinds of awesome stuff. Yeah. But the stores sell it too. But it's made right here.
Okay. So this was used
Yep.
with.
My grandma was also a school teacher before she was married, and then after she was married too, but for a time. So she schooled actually a lot of the community, the older ones here in the community. And she taught, I don't know how many students she had, but it didn't always sit there. It sat at another place, and they moved it there.
Okay. So wow, that.
And then it turned into, after she wasn't a school teacher, growing up, my cousins and I, us little kids, that was our playhouse. And we played school in there, and there's a lot of stuff on the walls, actually, and papers up there just from when we were kids.
Oh,
That's
that's
a really
great.
special place. It's going to fall down any day.
No, it looks pretty solid. Looks like
And who knows what lives in there. So I'll take you in here. And this is actually where they bottle the sorghum after it's cooked. It runs here off the pan. It goes up the pipes, around, And this is the cooling system. The racks aren't in there, so it kind of doesn't make sense to look at it now, but there's usually racks in there. And the sorghum will go and it cools it. My uncles, my dad could tell you exactly how hot it is. It's hot when it comes off that. So it's got to cool when it goes in this tank and when they put it in bottles. They'll put it in plastic jugs and
here.
jars.
Yeah,
Yep,
I've seen that on the video.
Yeah.
They're filling it up.
yep.
So do you know how many gallons they did last fall? Did they keep up
I
with
don't
that?
know. They do, yeah, they do. I'm
That's
not
not your
sure.
department.
I'm the storekeeper. I run the store.
I can ask them that when I come in the fall. can't
Right,
I?
yeah.
We can find out.
Yeah. They won first place one year at the National Sweet Sorghum Producers Association or something like that.
So this is a sorghum is kind of a nationwide thing. That,
Well, there are other places that grow and make sorghum, yeah. Kentucky and different states. There are, yeah. Muddy Pond Sorghum Mill, I think it has grown into one of the largest producers of sorghum syrup in the country. So yeah, it has really grown from what it started as. A lot of this stuff here is just antiques and stuff for sale. Some old buggy parts and buggy springs, and we do still try to find antiques and things for sale. People love that. My grandpa always was the one to go around and find that stuff. So we do find and get what we can. That's an old thing off of an old washing hand crank washing machine. We've got antique bottles. We never have the same things. Usually it's always different, but we do try to keep handles and garden tools. Oddities, things that you can't find other places.
where do you come up with this stuff at?
Sales, estate sales, auctions, yard sales, maybe some antique stores, but we try to find things in quantities for good prices so we can resell it. So we make our homemade breads in the house here, and so we like to bring it out when it's really hot and smelling delicious, and people love that. They love the hot bread. And clean the bowl good. My grandma taught me to clean that bowl good. Waste not, want not.
So how much of the bread do you usually make on a day?
Well, if it's slow like now, maybe 5 loaves of sourdough, some rolls, and then the cheese breads, sometimes 5, sometimes 10. Right now it'll probably be about 5. It's the slower season now. After the months of September and October, and that's sorghum season, it's busy. So we'll make up to 20 loaves and more if we need it throughout the day. But we make cookies, and we have pumpkin rolls, fried pies. Now we actually have whole pies, some whole pies, cakes, all the good stuff.
So does some of your family help you with the baking?
They do, yeah. Several of my aunts make different things. One of them makes the fried pies. One makes homemade sorghum suckers, pumpkin rolls. She makes peanut brittle, and most all of our baked goods have sorghum. And sorghum is, most people know it as molasses, but molasses is made from sugar cane, and we can't grow sugar cane this far north. It grows down in southern Florida. It needs almost a full year of sun. So we have sorghum cane, and it looks like corn in the field.
I notice you don't use an electric mixer.
Nope, we don't. We mix everything by hand, knead it by hand. It's a workout for the arms.
So I understand, like, once you complete school, you start, the ladies start learning to bake and cook, and is that what happened with you? Or?
Yeah, I learned some from my mom, but mostly I learned from my grandma. So this just has to rise, and we'll make loaves.
Did you mention how the store sprang up because of the sorghum making?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's actually how this area became a tourist area, is because of the sorghum making. So there were no, like, I think they started back in mid-60s making sorghum as a community. And then our family broke off and started their own sorghum mill back in about 1980, 83, somewhere in there. And after that, that's when the stores started springing up, because so many people were coming out to watch the sorghum making and buy their sorghum. And so I think the general store was the first one, and ours sprang up in 1992 is when we started this store. So that's kind of the reason why.
It was not at this location.
Yeah, it started up on the hill, but yeah. So that's how this area became a tourist area, because of the sorghum making.
Before the store did, so your mother is your mother-in-law, and her name is
Emma.
Emma. So did she sell just directly out of the house here? Somebody told me.
Okay, that's interesting that you mentioned that. She had, I mean, they started selling out of their home baked goods like bread and cookies since they moved here, which was in the mid-60s. That's kind of how they survived, or it helped them to survive, because there was not much going on here. Yeah, so it helped them financially to be able to sell baked goods out of their home.
So local people would just drive up and
Yeah, that's right.
and
Yeah,
just
they would buy.
knock on the door and
Yeah,
come in.
that's right. Yeah.
Somebody told me they did that. So
Oh yeah, and here, yeah, I remember that. They would come in here, and before she had the store, they would come in here and buy their cookies and their bread. Yeah, she did it for at least 55 to 58 years, something like that. Yeah, and so it's just kept on, and we as a family are just trying to keep up that tradition of baking. We love to bake, and we enjoy it.
Now, is that a Mennonite? It seems like most of the Mennonite people, they do a lot of baking. Is that kind of common?
It's kind of common, yeah, I would say, yeah.
Doreen and her daughter, Michelle, last, is it a year now?
It was last summer.
Published this cookbook, and it has, it's the Guenther family table, and it has a lot of the recipes that we all use, and that our grandmother used, and her mother used, and there's a lot of really good recipes in here, including the sourdough bread, rolls, you name it.
How did they buy that book?
So we sell it in the store, and they are $12 in the store. I think Doreen wholesales them. Doreen and her daughter will wholesale them too.
Michelle wholesale.
Michelle, okay.
She takes care of that, yeah, but they can buy them wholesale, yes.
How did they find them? Do you sell them online or anything?
No, they basically just here at the store.
At the store.
Yeah.
So, I know that Holly, you said that you all didn't take credit cards here.
Not yet. It's just something we never have done until now. Here in the next few weeks, within a month, we should have it set up. So it's going to be a big change for us.
And that was because y'all didn't have internet, or?
We don't have internet yet. It's scheduled to be set up next week.
So when you get internet, you're going to do credit cards.
Yep.
For the first time since 1965 here.
For the first time ever.
Ever? Since they've been here.
Yep. So this is cheddar cheese. This is one of my favorite breads. Well, with the jalapenos in it, it makes a really good grilled cheese. And we don't have a scales or anything to weigh out these loaves. We just try to make them all the same, best we can. So we only make the cheese breads on Fridays. And people sometimes drive for hours just to come get the cheese bread. We love it when people call ahead. If you want to call ahead and order the bread. That way we will have it for you, because sometimes, like I said, people will drive a long way and it's already sold. Or so you can call. So in a wood cook stove, the heat is a little different. You have to turn your bread and your loaves that way. One side, they tend to get darker on one side, so we turn them about halfway through.
So we notice a few other sorghum places coming in that they do the same thing you all do, or?
So there is another sorghum mill in Muddy Pond, and it's family. Actually, it was my grandma's brother. It's the Maslin sorghum mill. It's just another mill. They do it, and I think their days that they cook are the days when we don't cook here. So we cook Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, September and October, and then they cook the other days.
So it goes on for a couple of months, the cooking does?
September and October.
I thought it was just maybe a weekend or something.
Oh no, nope. It's 2 months, depending on the cane, you know. This last season, we had a really hard freeze for several nights in a row. So they were working literally day and night. They would take shifts because they had to get the cane out of the field. The frost will kill the cane. I think it turns it to just sugar, and then you can't cook it. So they had to get the cane out of the field. So the season was a little shorter this year, I think by about 2 weeks. But normally, I mean, that's kind of rare that we'll get a freeze like that at the end of October.
When do y'all plant it? In the spring?
They plant, yeah, in the spring, I think in June. Is that right, Doreen? June?
Yeah, May and June.
May and June.
Middle of May, about May 10th to the end of June is when they.
They plant it that late in the year?
Yeah, and
So
it
it's a
takes
short-
120 days for it to mature. So then it's ready beginning of September till the end of October. Yeah.
My grandma, she used to make, banana nut bread. And she would use some of these smaller pans. She hasn't done that in a while, a couple of years at least. And so Doreen's daughter, Michelle, she has taken over a lot of the baked goods. That is her specialty, is baking, and she is so wonderful at it. And so she makes, she has a card we have in the store. You can call and order things from her, but she makes a lot of stuff.
She make that at her house, or?
She does, in her kitchen. But we sell some of her baked goods here in the store. Yeah, she makes a really good old-fashioned Appalachian stack cake, and it has 7 layers.
Oh, really? Appalachian stack cake. I've not heard of that.
Yeah, you haven't.
No.
Well,
Do you
it
have
is
one
an
in the
old-
store today?
I think we do.
Okay, that'd
Should.
be interesting to see.
Yeah. All right, so those have to rise again. You put food in. This is the thermometer. So you put wood in. Here's the draft door. So if you really want the fire to get going, you just open the draft. The air goes in and fuels the fire. So I'm going to actually turn it down because it is. We like to keep it about 350 in there somewhere to bake bread.
So you can actually regulate the heat, even though it's wood, by, what does it shut the vents off to?
Yeah. So this is like a convection cooking stove, wood cooking stove. So the heat goes down and under. When we pull this out, it lets the heat go down, under, and circulate like that. So to shut it down, just push that in. If you really want to shut the stove down, you turn it all the way off. Close the damper and turn this, and it kind of makes the smoke sit in there and just kind of smolders, and that's how we keep the fire going through the night. And
Oh, you keep it burning all night?
yeah. Oh yeah, especially, it's what heats this house, especially when it's cold. Yeah. So, and then actually this is a hot water reservoir back here. So you keep that full of water, and you can get hot water here on this spout here. for baths or whatever you need it for.
One of the questions I have, I know that the Mennonite tradition or religion, you don't take pictures.
Some do not. Some do.
I noticed there's no pictures in the house here, so is that
Right. Yeah,
traditional?
and that is the way. That's what my mother-in-law was very strong about, not taking pictures. She didn't believe that in pictures. So
Right.
she was kind of against that. Now my father-in-law was a little bit. He was more into it, but yeah, she did not. So that's why you don't see any pictures,
Right.
because she did not
And
believe in
that belief comes from the Bible. And
Yes, that's
that,
right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that in the Mennonite faith that don't do pictures.
And that has to do with not making a graven image of
Right.
yourself.
Right.
And so, so Mennonites generally are not. They're okay maybe with people taking pictures of them, but they don't generally do it of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends who it is. You know, there are some like that don't mind having a picture taken of themselves. My mother-in-law really didn't like to have a picture taken of herself, but you know, sometimes it happens.
She wasn't
you know.
looking directly.
Yeah.
Sometimes customers would see her sitting on the porch or in the store, and they would ask if they could take her picture, and she would just kindly say, no, thank you, you know, I don't agree with that. But now if you just caught her, you know, and you just snapped one when she wasn't looking at the camera, she would never say anything to you. But if you asked her directly, she would just kindly say no.
Do y'all have any pictures of her?
I
We
think
do.
we have a couple.
Just a few, yeah.
Just a few, yeah.
Yeah, because we kind of had to secretly do it. We would secretly snap them. But so there's lots of different kinds of Mennonites and Amish, but mostly Mennonites. There's as many kinds as Baptists, and every community really is different. Of the Mennonites, they each kind of have their own set of rules and way of doing things. This community has two Mennonite churches, and they're completely different. They have different bylaws, church rules, and so one set actually does not do any kind of radio, television, pictures, and then the other set are more not so conservative,
Yeah,
not so.
a little bit more lenient. They would
Yeah.
they would do pictures.
So do y'all personally own cameras?
Oh yeah.
We do.
Oh yes.
We take pictures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's take it out. Got some hot bread. Got some hot cheese bread.
Oh Lord.
And jalapeno cheese bread.
Well, that's my heart. Yes. How much is the loaf?
They're $5.
You get the loaf cheese bread too? Yeah, you know it. So how long have you been working here at the store, Holly?
Well, at least 12 years.
12 years.
But when I grew up, I loved to come in and help my grandma. Because she managed it and ran it and did all the orders and did everything herself. She might have help in the busy season, like a helper in here, because she did the baking and everything. But I don't know, my whole life, I guess.
So what does the rest of the family do when they're not farming the sorghum? Do they do other jobs or?
Most of them have cattle. My dad has bees as well. His honey is on the shelf. He has over 100 hives now. So he does bees, cattle. He makes the barbecue sauce, and he has a lot of irons in the fire. He just does a lot of things. So the others mostly farm. They farm cattle. The winter they do a lot of butchering. Yeah, that's.
How many family
basically it.
members in your family would be in this area?
All of my family is here. All of my grandparents' children's, the 8 of them, and their children are here in Muddy Pond or close by, except for one of the boys, and he moved to Kentucky around Liberty, I think. So that's basically. Now, I did have one cousin, got married recently, and he moved to Michigan, where his wife is from. But other than that, I think most of them are here. Yeah. So all of the farmland that you see here is, most of it is my family's, somebody in the family farms it and works it, and
So your dad's bees, where they at?
all over in Muddy Pond.
Just
Yeah.
puts them in different places so they
Yes.
spread out. So when does he harvest honey the first time in the spring on that? Or summer, when's that?
He does in the spring, and actually some of his honey on the shelf is, he calls it blackberry honey. It's, he robbed the hives when, after the bees ate from the blackberry blooms. So it has, I guess, a little hint of blackberry taste. So he does in the spring, I guess in the summer too, sometime.
So that's something I'd be very interested in filming.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
That would be very, I've been trying to find that for some time.
Yeah.
People
He has.
harvesting honey. And that would definitely help
I'm sure
the
he would.
sales on it.
He would love for you to tag along. I'm sure he has a bee suit and all that.
So what about that? What about the hats I see behind you? What can you tell us
So
about?
we actually have an Amish man in Kentucky that hand makes these hats, and his wife makes bonnets. We're out of the bonnets. We're gonna have to write him a letter and make an order for hats and bonnets. But he makes these hats by hand. Yeah. So, how you guys doing? Good. Good. We've got some hot pies here. They were made this morning. They're still warm.
Yeah, I feel them when I come in.
Yeah. This is the old-fashioned Appalachian stack cake. It has 7 layers. My cousin Michelle makes it. And the mini fruit cakes. I make the sorghum pound cake, and this was my mother's recipe. She did this. She started this, and now I make it, and I've won some blue ribbons. I got one this year at the fair. Yeah, it's really good. It's moist. It's really moist. My aunt makes the fried pies. Of course, we have our bread here. This old cooler here has been in here since I can remember. It's old. We have drinks and pumpkin logs.
Hey.
Or was that you holding the bake stuff? You two look so much alike.
It was actually Michelle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Because
sorry I had to kind
you
of
two
rush.
look so much, you look like
Probably
sisters.
not, do we?
Yeah.
Maybe not beside each other.
So that was her holding the baked goods.
Yeah.
After I saw her,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I thought
Yeah,
it was
it's
you at
Michelle.
first. So
It is.
I
It was
just
a
had
good
to rush in
picture.
and out because I was taking pies up the road and I was running a little behind.
and you've been baking for a while, making stuff?
Yes, I've been baking since I was a kid, I guess.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from Mom and Grandma, and like the stack cakes I've probably been making for about 5 years now. And I started making fried pies a few years ago as well. So I do fried pies twice a week for the store up the road. And then I do the stack cake and the fruit cake for the holiday season, stack cake year round. And I'm going to be taking over the cookie baking as well.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the visit with Holly and Doreen here today. It's been a great honor and pleasure to see your family's history and tradition here. All the stuff that you know, we just took a little peek at it today, but I'm looking forward to maybe coming back
Yeah,
and filming
absolutely.
some more. I'm
Yeah.
sure people would like to see more of the farming that's going on and your bee keeping that your dad does.
Yeah, absolutely.
He sells the honey here. So if y'all like to come visit, you can find them by Googling it is one of the easiest way. The Muddy Pond Sorghum Mill, is that how it's listed, in Variety Store?
Right.
So you can Google that and find that pretty easy. They are north of Crossville, Tennessee. They're south of Jamestown, right off Highway 127. And I'd encourage you all in August to come to the 127 World's August Yard Sale.
Yep.
And there is a tremendous amount of places I have videotaped, including Rugby and Alvin C. York Farm, Forbes's General Store, the R.M. Brooks' store. There's so many places you can come right here in this area and visit and spend 3 or 4 days. So, Holly, would you like to invite them to come out yourself?
Absolutely, and we thank you for coming out and showing this to folks so that people can come see us. We want to invite you to come. We're open, the store is open every day, but Sundays from about 9 to 4 and all through the year. And we're closed Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so we'd love to see you guys. And our address is 4064 Muddy Pond Road, and it's Monterey, Tennessee, and it's 38574. So we look forward to seeing you guys.
And Doreen, you do some of the baking, and your daughter come in and brought some of the Appalachian stack cake. I'm gonna have to get some of that before I
Yes.
leave.
Also the fruit cake. She makes fruit cake at this time of the year, Christmas fruit cake. And
Yes.
I do the peanut brittle, and my sister-in-law Sarah does the fried pies, which are really popular, and Holly does the pound cake. And of course we have bread and cookies, and we'd be happy to have you guys come see us.
It's been a great visit here today. I encourage you to come out and see this living history, is what I call it.
Yeah.
It is, and a great visit. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Cash
Looks like
or
you've been here
checks?
before.
No, second time.
Second time?
Yeah.
Where you from?
You can set your stuff down here.
Young County?
Yes, sir.
So you said you like some of, what was you telling me you liked there a while ago?
That, fucking hell.
Oh, Pumpkin Roll?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's all together.
Yeah, bring it up all together there.
You'll really like these. All right, it's $44.57.
There's 45, just keep the change.